Count of Monte Cristo, TV movie from 1975 with Richard Chamberlain. Yay, we like Richard Chamberlain. This version of, because there's many versions of this story. From Alexandre Dumas, of course, a book, so out of copyright, and everybody and his aunt has made a version. But this is one of the versions I like best. You can be short about that. The problem with the book is Alexandre Dumas wrote it in a time when he wasn't actually writing a book. He was writing a serial. And he found, of course, that if you have like a successful storyline and if you write more chapters to it, makes more money. Yay! He's writing a soap. He's writing the soap of the day in paper form. And the problem with this book is that it goes on too long because of that reason. And many of the editions I've seen, there's a French one with Gérard Depardieu. It's also very good. But you can see how long some of this, because they're trying to be book accurate. And the story is of revenge, and it shows the revenge taking place. And that part, it's just not fun. It's just not fun. It's quite a large chunk of the book. Heck no. And this film makes a good balance of the setup of the story, the problems in the story, and then the end of the story. Without... They change a lot, but they do it without actually taking away the point of the story. A young man is accused of something he doesn't even know, stuck into a jail cell, and in that jail cell he gets a chance to talk to somebody and they figure out what the hell happened. And he's there for many years. I have it down as he goes in at 1815. He's there for 14 years. From when he was about 20, little bit over 20, until he's 35, you know. And he feels like and he has to. Only way he gets out is by escaping. He's not even released or anything. And they figure out who set him up, and then he gets a treasure and he takes revenge. Quite against the person who he met in prison, who was a religious, he was an abbot of some place, who wanted him to do good with the treasure and not waste it in this way. And Abbe Faria would not have approved of anything that happened after Edmond gets out. Nope. And so it's actually a quite sad story, and people waste his youth. The girl he wanted to marries somebody else and has her youth with somebody else. And he cannot get it back. And he can take revenge, and that's it. It is a beautiful story. Beautiful story. And I think this simple way that they do it very simply but very prettily that's filmed mostly in Italy and Rome and stuff like that. It's supposed to take place in France, but they had places in Rome. But in Marseille or Rome, it doesn't really matter that much in looks. They have a lot of different people. It is so beautiful. Richard Chamberlain, who plays the young Edmond from when he was a young man to all the way through his revenge, is so... He does the young man thing really well. He is a little bit too old for the part. It's fine. He has the young man who stuff just happens to, and who has wide-eyed innocence for... Not total innocence, but some political innocence, certainly. And when the Abbe Faria explains to him why he is there and how the political thing works, he gets that political wisdom, and then over his revenge, trying to gain the wisdom of, is this a wise thing to do, revenge? And he doesn't actually get it until it's quite too late. he has destroyed so many lives because his girl married a guy who was his rival for this girl. And she, of course, has a child with him, a young man, who is, by the time Edmond comes back and is the Count of Monte Cristo, is a young man who has his own ideas. And Edmond can disgrace the father, but then the son is going to do his own thing, and the mother is going to go with the son to Africa in this case. French people go to Africa if something goes wrong. To the to fight in the colonies there. And there's no picking up for him and her. Yes, she still loves Edmond, or the memory of Edmond, basically. And the Count of Monte Cristo, he's somebody else. And he doesn't really learn that until the very last scene, when the revenge is all done and she is leaving, and he's standing on the quayside going, who am I? Why am I? And my headcanon on that is that he now takes his absolutely vast fortune and does what the Abbe Faria wanted him to do, which is start orphanages and hospitals and all that. I hope he does. There was a young lady who had her own revenge going, and maybe it's possible. But he has to get out of his head first and get over his revenge. And there is the revenge for his lost life, but also for his father, because when he fell away into prison, his father, who apparently was already too old to work, he was going to buy him a house with the money he earned, but now he's not. He disappeared, so the father died of starvation. And in the end, he says, I can forgive almost anything they did to me personally, but my father dying of starvation because of what they did, nope, just nope. It's such a sad story. And I think this version of it is very beautifully put there. We have Richard Chamberlain for Edmond, Trevor Howard as the Abbe Faria, Louis Jourdain as Villefort, Donald Pleasence as Danglars, and Tony Curtis as Mondego. He's really good because he has to play this young Mondego, which is just a short scene, and he's quite a bit too old for this, but he plays the old Mondego so well. Stately General Mondego, oh yeah. And the girl I didn't know, Katie and Nelligan as Mercedes. The locations, of course, like I said, is mostly Italy. The dresses are first from 1815, and then they skip all the way to the 1830s, which is so the 1815 is the full Regency dress. So her wedding dress and the other dress she's wearing is a full Regency dress. Even if it's already a little late, 15 is a little late. So you get the more fussy, like prints and stuff like that. And then the 1830s is like the Biedermeier little fluffy sleeves and a little standing out clothing, and the gentlemen are wearing. And this film is made for television by the British commercial television. Filmed on film, thank you, because now so sharp. But it was meant to go on either PAL television or NTC television, which is a little bit fuzzy, and they kind of play with that. There is like you can see now in the DVD version that the materials they're a little bit too modern, but on the television you wouldn't have seen that. It would have been lost. And some of them, the way he is when he is the Count of Monte Cristo with the white hair, it's a little bit too wiggy. You can see, but I don't really care. It's one of those things that nothing has to be perfect. The girl's hair is still not perfect. Some of the older ladies have their hair up, but the 1830s hair was absolutely ridiculous in a way that nobody wants to see that. So they're not doing that. So they're doing something up for the older ladies and something modern, 1975 modern, for the young ladies, and it's fine, you know. It's not that deep. It's really not that deep. It is a TV movie. It's with a really surprisingly good script. I have to say, the pacing was wonderful. It just keeps going. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, and it keeps going, and it gives each section enough time, but not too much. So none of it gets boring. Even though revenge is something that can get boring real quick. In the book, the story of Danglars, who was the money grubbing fella, they draw it out so long. Monte Cristo has Danglars kidnapped by a bunch of his henchmen, and you just stick him in a cage and make him pay for every meal, like $1 million for each meal, until he has run out of money, and it takes an effing long time. And I like the way they did it in this movie much better. They use a plot of he's bankrupted by an action that he did himself. He was doing something illegal, which was doctored by the Count of Monte Cristo. And what happens when people do that sort of thing is they kill themselves, and so it's over pretty quickly. Thank you. I mean, a book and a film are not the same thing. So what is interesting, what might be interesting in a book, is not interesting in a film. Watching somebody slowly being fleeced of their money until there's nothing left. And actually, Danglars is the only one who survived that in the book, and here, dead real quick. Yes. And the acting, everybody, there's so many good actors. I mean, Donald Pleasence is not the most famous of actors, but he always did an excellent job. And Louis Jourdain, always, whatever he was in, he's always excellent. And Richard Chamberlain. So the people who cast this, they knew who to pick. Everybody's good. And even some of the people I literally only ever saw in this. Everybody's good. The young people, there's a bunch of young people. The son of the girl and the rival. Young man of about 21, and this actor, he's sort of mumbling and stuttering, and you would never do that now. But it's not because he can't act. I think he's just trying to put on this very young man. And it goes so well. Also because of the contrast, because you have the very competent Count of Monte Cristo, and you have the very competent, or supposedly competent, Mondego, General Mondego, and then you have this young son who is trying to justify the misdeeds of Mondego, which come out, of course, to the older generation, and he's completely out of his depth. And it shows it so simply. Everything is very simple in this movie, but it works. And of the Monte Cristo versions that I've seen, even including the one with Gérard Depardieu, which was more complete, I like this one best. Because of the charm. You have a story where horrible things happen, but the charm makes it so watchable. And I've watched this one many, many times, and so has the Peanut Gallery. It's charming. And I think if you have a situation that is bad, going to worse, and having an unhappy ending, which is what this has, making it charming and beautiful to look at is very helpful. It's my favorite version of this story so far. I've seen some other ones, and the Tony Curtis is a big sword fighter, and Richard Chamberlain also does pretty good chops. So you get one good sword fight, and this is not really the one. Many other versions you'll get more sword fighting and more running around. But I have no complaints about the running around here, the horse riding, and there's a little bit of everything in this movie. A little bit of, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of everything, in all the best ways, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.